for Donnie.
Rip apartment for Donnie.
Go for Donnie.
Wardrobe for Donnie.
Go for Donnie.
Rick for Donnie. Go for Donnie.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Rick Pizante with us today on the show. How's it going, Rick?
Hey there, D. How are you, buddy? What's happening?
Man, I'm good. I'm so glad to finally get you on the show and to, have a little chatter with you. But guys, today's guest, I just want to explain who this is. And this guy, he's directed more high-profile shoots than I've had hot meals. Rick's worked with Apple, Red Bull, the NFL, and probably better craft service at his shoots than most weddings do. He also ran Pizante Productions, where the vibe was part creative agency and part production SWAT team. This guy turns chaos into content, and he makes it look smooth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, director, producer, the man with more client decks than Vegas blackjack table, Rick Pizante, a.k.a. Rap. Welcome, Rap.
Jeez, that was quite an intro. I mean, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Donny McGuire. Go for Donnie. What's going on, Donnie?
I've never done many intros for guests that I have, and sometimes I'm like, maybe people need to know who these people are.
True.
That I'm talking to. So yeah, we'll try it and see how it does. But welcome to the show, Rick. I'm so glad we finally got you on the show.
I know we've been chasing each other for months, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. So just so everyone knows how Rick and I know each other, Rick, I think we met when I was working at Mystery Diners when you were at T Group.
That's right.
And then Rick also brought me into Full Screen. I don't know what Full Screen is still, and I was there, but brought me into Full Screen. I worked there in the studio with him for, I don't know, about 6 months to 8 months. It seems like it wasn't that long.
I think it was maybe, just under a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time ago. But yeah, so we've had a lot of fun at the places that we've worked together and outside of work. We like, in the production world, we like to not break bread, but have a drink with each other. And I think that helps with camaraderie and get to know each other and, outside of work as well.
The American Legion, there was no lack of time spent at the American Legion, Donnie, thanks to your military background. And I will say, we had a great rap party, and that place it's just stuck in time. It's just amazing. It's an awesome place. I loved it.
Yeah, I can't wait to set up another drink thing and go back. So
yes.
But dude, so welcome to the show. So I kind of came up with this idea for this podcast, out of all the stories, all the stupid stories that we would share with each other, and all these stories for me, they came from the show Top Gear. So we'd always get together and we'd share the same stupid stories, and people that were around us that maybe weren't part of the stories would get sick of the stories because that's all we'd tell. So I thought, hey, why not share them with the whole world? And so here we are doing Go for Donnie. And, I'm in 20 shows. I think I have 20 Go for Donnie shows.
That's great.
16 Switch to Channel 2 shows, and then a handful of videos. So it's a lot of fun, but it's kind of cool. So I bring guests on like you so that way we can share some stupid, crazy behind-the-scenes stories because we all have them. I mean, we all have stupid shit that's happened to us on set. So
no doubt.
That's the premise of the show there, Rick.
That's a great premise. I'm glad you're sharing it with the world so they can see how ridiculous the line of work we do and the amount of commitment and sacrifice we make.
Isn't it
is
so
just
stupid?
Making TV or making digital content or, now podcasts. Like, it's just nuts, I mean, I think the world is just so starved for content in general that I'm glad you're doing it, Donnie. That's great.
Well, thank you. I'm just, as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, gosh, I've done some crazy stuff. And I just think back to, I think one of my first gigs, I think it was a coordinator or a production manager. It was on a show, a pilot called Suburban Virgin for MTV. And we basically tried to get virgins laid. Bizarre, right? That's some weird shit.
I think, that is, I'm trying to think of the craziest thing I've done. I don't know if it's crazy, but embarrassing illnesses. I did a pilot, and it was like we had this guy on.
Embarrassing.
embarrassing illnesses. And we had a guy on that had a condition where he was an excessive sweater. Okay. Like just perspiring, like rings under his shirt. But he
Yeah.
was a financial advisor. So like all the clients he met with thought he was like some kind of Ponzi scheme guy or just really nervous because like, he
He's
was
always sweating.
profusely sweating all the time. It was hilarious. Plus, that's the cleaner one that we did, the embarrassing illness. We had some other stuff, but I'll spare you from that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I am thinking, I'm like, God, I sweat a lot too. I wonder if people thinking that I'm like, shady, like sketchy because I'm always
Shady.
sweating.
Are you going to
man.
ask me to send money to Nigeria right now, Donnie? Is that what you're doing? That's what I want to know. No, I'm joking.
That's later on in the show. Yeah.
That's later. Okay.
Oh my
Make
God.
donations. Make donations here.
So one, I mean, dude, surely you have at least one, if not several. So what's the first one? Just think for a second, maybe the craziest thing you've seen behind the scenes on set.
On set, the craziest thing.
And I know there's so many because you've been in the industry a lot longer than I have. So you have a lot more stories and shoots and, productions to pull from.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some pretty crazy things happen. I think, well, one of the things was I used to work for a company called rehearsals.com. It was a startup digital company in 2005, and it was at Center Staging in Burbank, which is like this, series of rehearsal studios that all the big acts go to rehearse for shows and tours and all that stuff. And it was a great idea just a little before its time. Apple was, a partner with us and doing a lot of R&D. Ooh. And MLB.com was really our legitimate partner. And I don't know what baseball and music have, in common, but except maybe Jimmy Buffett. But I would say that when we were doing this, it was great. I mean, we were capturing all the artists behind the scenes with high definition robotic cameras that were just in the room, like we'd come in with the roadies and set up the cameras, and we had people in the other control room controlling these, basically cameras
like
on
Pelco cameras.
Yeah, like Pelco cameras, basically, and everything was going well. It was like from musicianship to stories. We knew that Dave Navarro was going to break up with Carmen Electra like 6 months before it happened. Just, hey, I can't handle her anymore. Whatever it was. And it was just authentic. It was awesome. It was like, it was before reality TV, like right on the cusp of reality TV. In fact, I call it authenticity because it was like really like unproduced, and good idea before its time. 3 years later, it fails. Thankfully, I was able to launch my company with Rick Reinholdson, who is now directing The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. My other partner, Eric White, who's like mixing Jay-Z and so, I mean, we've all moved on and, thankfully, knock wood, have had some level of success, I guess, in this crazy industry. But to make a long story short, so that company failed after 3 years. It went bankrupt. And again, great idea. In fact, we might want to talk about relaunching it. But at the time when we were trying to raise money, we're like, well, what can we do with high definition cameras, on sticks or on speed rails or whatever. And someone brought Adam and Eve, the people from Adam and Eve down, which is, the porn company, basically. It's like Vivid,
Yeah, they sell products,
toys and products,
adult products.
But they were going to make their videos at our place because, like, how great would it be if you didn't have anyone doing this in front of you? They were all robotic cameras, so it didn't disrupt the action. Ready? Okay, and that's what they say. And action. No, I'm kidding. So the thought was, okay, we'll shoot porn using these high-def robotic cameras. There won't be any camera people in the room. It won't distract the actors, blah, blah, blah. But the problem was that next door, these actors, might come out and like, take a breather or whatever. And Amy Grant was next door, and she's like this major Christian artist, if
Yeah.
you can imagine. So
Yeah.
we
Very
we thought
religious.
that might have been a problem if, like, like Ron Jeremy came out to take a breather, and Amy Grant was out there taking a breather at the same time. So that unfortunately didn't work out, but I thought it was a brilliant idea. I mean, it really was. So this is way back in 2005, Donnie. This is like pre pre-reality, it's just like right on the heels of that. So that was one idea that didn't happen that should have probably happened, and we probably would have all been retired by now. But it is what it is.
Hey,
So.
timing is everything. There's a lot of things that, you try to push. Quibi. I'm just going to use Quibi because I can see that you're vertical right now, and we'll use that as an example. Quibi came in hot and heavy with vertical, put a bunch of money into it, did not succeed.
Yep.
That was before TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok comes along, and now everyone's doing vertical stuff. And then, of course, now you have the real shorts, the good shorts, all these apps that have the vertical movies where they're filming. So timing is everything. So you never know. Maybe it was just the wrong time.
Had the pandemic not hit, I think Quibi could have been a really lucrative company because, of commuters and people, with the attention span of kids and stuff like that. It's just that I think the pandemic really kind of ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. But I think that was just a misstep and poorly timed with nature's events that happened. So it's unfortunate.
Timing is everything. I mean, just like shows, they'll bring back shows that maybe even they were successful and they just they don't have the content, so they'll bring it back. Like Duck Dynasty just came back to A&E, a gem of a show that I worked on for season.
You did that.
Justin
Yeah,
Tucker.
that's right.
Yep.
Wow. Maybe I'll grow out my beard.
Good old Uncle Si.
Audition.
You know what's funny? Dude, it's so funny you say that, is that when I got there, I think I replaced someone, and then we ended up reshooting pretty much everything because they, threw some money, some glam money at the ladies, and changed some things around, and then, reshot it. Anyway, so I was there when we did that with Tucker. And when I got there, of course, I didn't have a beard, a little scruff right now, but every single crew member had a beard.
When in Rome.
And they had been there for a lot longer than me. So yeah, it was they were pretty full on. So
I just got back from Nebraska like the day before yesterday, and we were talking, when I was there by the lake, and I will tell you, it's infectious. When you're there is a bit of a accent. It's not like major, but it's a little bit of a drawl. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's amazing how quickly you pick that up and you start mimicking, and everyone else it's around. It's the same concept as the beard, I guess. But when in Rome, I guess you just kind of adapt.
I usually do that too, except I'm mimicking at first. To start, I mimic, and I kind of take the piss, and then not long after, I'm talking like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I found out here's an interesting story. I found out I was half British. I was adopted. Both my parents died during the pandemic, which sucks. And I went into Ancestry back in, I don't know, probably 2014. And when they passed away, I said, well, I'm going to go look for my birth parents. And I found out that my mother was British. My father was American, and now I do have dual citizenship. So if I start speaking with a British accent, you know what I'm talking about.
That's great.
You'll know what's going on.
You went down and you actually got your citizenship, your dual citizenship?
Yeah,
or you can.
Yeah. No, I'm British. I'm half British now. I want to speak like this. I'm going to speak like this for the rest of the podcast, Donnie. I
can hear it.
No, but yeah, it's a trip. And so I'm going to get my passport. So when everything, implodes in this country, the way things are going, then maybe I'll go across the pond. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hey, can't you, wait. Can't you go to any Commonwealth?
I'm going to an island for sure. Yeah. I'm going to go to a British island and somewhere and set up shop, I think.
But can't you just take that passport and just go across the border to the north?
I could. Well,
Or is it
Well,
different?
Canadian's French, right? French Canadian. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I thought
So
they were
I
part of
don't
the
know.
Commonwealth, or
Maybe.
they
I don't
used to
know.
be.
I should research that. Yeah, you're
A
right.
lot
I should
closer.
look into that.
And it's
It's
only
for
a
sure.
drive instead of a
And
flight.
probably the weather is probably better too. You're right. No kidding. My God.
Just saying. Oh my God.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
I've man, that's the cool thing about this show is I've had people on where they're like, I don't know what story, I don't know what I'm gonna say, I don't know what I'm gonna say. And then you start talking, and then all of a sudden they just start spitting out these stories and they just start remembering this shit as we're talking, and that's the same way I go about it too, where I'll remember some stupid shit that we did on set,
Oh yeah.
like having to take Paris Hilton. I did Paris Hilton, my new BFF, season 1 and 2. And on season 2, I think it's season 2. I was with her a lot, and there's a whole thing where she didn't go and vote, and so we were filming with her that day, so we had to get her somewhere to vote and vote late, and so I think we had to drive to East LA somewhere, but to get out of the
With
stages
Paris Hilton. Oh
with
my God.
Paris. So we were
That's
filming
amazing.
at a stage. I want to say like Santa Monica Boulevard and La Brea. Some of the stages in there. Where
Santa
Chainsaw used
Monica
to
La
be.
Brea. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we were filming there, and we had to get her, and there were paparazzi, of course, because there was a story about her not casting her vote yet. So we somehow it fell upon me to get her from this stage to East LA. I forget the city, to go out and vote. And so we're like, fuck, what are we going to do? So we had to get 2 SUVs. So we used one SUV up front as a decoy, and then we brought one in the back, this courtyard area. And then we were able to put her and myself and a few other people in that one. And then we had a dummy one where paparazzi were waiting for, do their thing, and then we took off and we got out there. And then when we got out to East LA, there was some more paparazzi,
Of
but it's just
course.
like stuff like that. Like I would have never, it's not my job. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
It's just random, the stuff that we have to do for our positions in production management.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, I'm trying to think of some more stories. I mean, I had to help, President Clinton on his walk. I did a lot of political stuff too. And but that got me invited to the Christmas party at the White House, and
Nice. What year
that
was
was
this?
pretty fun.
Wait,
That
this is
was
obviously when Clinton was in, like
yeah,
the 94, 90,
97, I think it
97.
was.
So 90, okay.
Yeah,
Because I was there, I
yeah.
was in
Or
DC.
98. It might have been 98. I think his last year in office. I think it was.
Because
Yeah,
94 was the inauguration,
yeah.
or 95. Maybe it was January
Did I
95?
see you there before we even worked together?
Possibly. I was there. We did the inauguration. God, I mean, at the inauguration, I was at the White House.
Yeah.
So so everyone knows I was in the honor guard in the Army, and then I did a few years in the honor guard. Then I literally walked across the street to the Office of Ceremonies and Special Events because we were stationed at Fort McNair. And it's garrison. And that office coordinated all the Joint Service Honor Guard ceremonies for Washington, D.C., the U.S. We were like the flag experts, all this cool stuff. And so we also worked on the inauguration committee. And so my role on that day, I was at the White House. We were down, I think my boss was up in the reviewing booth. They put the reviewing booth up and over the front gate so that way you can walk. I was down with a cordon at the front of the White House. There's a not a pond, a fountain, and so just to the side of the fountain was this plank, and the plank it gradually went up so that way you could walk up this plank and up into the reviewing booth. And so what happens is we have a cordon of Joint Service Honor Guard troops standing there. It's the president and vice president. They take them through the back door, and then they walk through the front door, come down the stairs, walk up the cordon, and up to the reviewing booth, right? Well, right before they were going to take off and walk up there, I had a sailor. She fell out. She just dropped like a fish. Well, I had to go over.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to go over and pull her out of that detail, replace her with another, a super, we called him. So an extra Navy, Swabby, Navy, what are they called? Sailor. And as I did that, then I had to walk her, before the president and vice president come walking down the steps, down it's hard to explain, but down like this cordon of like press. And I know that I got pictures of me basically carrying the sailor down, but it's such a crazy experience, like to do that. And then right after I did that, that's when the president, vice president came walking, down the stairs.
Oh
And up
my
to the
gosh.
reviewing. But so it's possible that we were there at the same time, absolutely.
And had we been, we would have been drinking scotch in the blue room, Donnie. I'm sure of
Totally.
that.
Totally.
Because I was. I tell you that much.
Nice.
No, it was cool. It was very cool. No, I did a show called Christmas in Washington in D.C. It was on the air for many years. It was a bastard stepchild companion to the Kennedy Center Honors. So it was like a week after the Kennedy Center Honors, and at the National Building Museum, also known as the Pension Building, which was a Civil War hospital, apparently. With I mean, it was a very interesting building. And I think they had the highest indoor columns in the United States in that building. So it was a really special, architecturally sound building. And we did a Christmas special with 5 acts, which varied, in different genres. And it was basically like traditional Christmas songs, but the president and all the dignitaries and people and senators and representatives would come to that. And I did that for 6 or 7 years. When I was a production manager and associate producer, and it was really fun. I mean, DC is a blast, and just I was always the one assigned to the Secret Service advance and White House advance teams, so I have a lot of that kind of experience, and that really helped on my understanding of security detail. So I know, how the perimeters work and all that stuff. So anytime I was on a show, I'd be the one dealing with those entities or, law enforcement or whatever, and I remember on the 2000 convention, it got to the point where, I had all the badges and everything, and I didn't even have to pass through the metal detector anymore. It was just like, okay, let them go. And I remember I went out drinking with some Secret Service buddies, and when they're on the job, they are super serious. I mean, they are, but when they're off the job, they let their hair down, boy. We went to this place called the Dubliner. You probably know it.
I love the Dubliner.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, these guys, I mean, they let loose, and they really let loose. And I had a hard time keeping up with those guys. But man, they have a serious job, They have a very serious job. So, they're probably all raging alcoholics.
But we are such kindred spirits, because you said that. I did the same thing. So we worked with the advanced teams.
Yeah.
I forget her name. She was the head Secret Service agent for the advanced teams that we dealt with. I wish I didn't remember her name. She's a great person. And at that time when I was transitioning out, I was thinking about joining the Secret Service. And she was going to help me get in there and sponsor me. So I was doing it, and then I got the paperwork, and I started filling it out. And the paperwork, oh my God, crazy! It was worse than for my top secret security clearance that I had to get. To work in the White House.
Maybe you can tell us a few stories about that.
Oh my gosh! But so I went through the process, and then I didn't last long, because they were like, it's a 2-year process to get hired, even to get hired.
Wow.
And I was just like, man, what am I going to do for another 2 years? I want to get the hell out of DC. So I bailed on that and left. But to your point, they're great people. And it was so much fun working with them and learning from them. And taking that, and then, your day-to-day on shows, working with ITC, with CHP, with cops, it just comes natural.
On Christmas in Washington one year, you get the young guys first, young men and women first that are, the rookies. Basically, they come in like 4 or 5 days before the event, and and one of them, one of the years was right after 9/11, and we had to, we had to basically, it changed the whole game. You know what I mean? It just changed the whole game. And I remember asking, because, I said, they'll never tell you everything they're doing, but they got down to my, to the point of trust, because we had marksmen and, snipers and sharpshooters in the rafters and the buildings across the street, and, all these different areas. And I said, so what's your path, what's your route out, if anything goes down, because they were sometimes they make you put up baffles for the orchestra. We had a 30-piece orchestra in there, and all this stuff. And sometimes they would make you trim the speakers a different height because it obstructs the vision from up top, stuff like that. So I was very accommodating. And then you get the senior guy, and the senior guy, once you know that you're cool with him, they'll tell you a little bit more about what they're doing. And I said, so what's your way out if something goes down? He goes, oh, we'll just spray a path. And I said, what exactly does that mean? He said, well, we'll go out through the orchestra. Well, what he was saying was, if it's totally obstructed, they'll just fire into the orchestra and create a path to get the president out of the building. And I said, excuse me for 1 second. Orchestra, that's a 10-minute break. Thank you very much. Take your 10. Because he was like completely serious. I think he was completely serious. I mean, I'm not even kidding. But wow, I was like, whoa, okay. Well, let me go tell my orchestra that. No, but it was, I love DC. I love doing shows in DC. I did, I've done a lot of different things, corporate events. I've done talk shows, game shows, award shows, music videos, yoga videos, like I said, political conventions, short form, long form, everything. The only thing I really commercials. The only thing I haven't really done is feature films and or script, like heavy scripted, because it's just too. I come from live TV.
Don't forget to check out the new podcast, Go for Donnie. And you're never too old for a good laugh.
And we're back. We're back, Rick. That's a good. Your mandatory 10 minutes. I didn't look at your contract before we did this, and I didn't know that was in your contract. So
my agent was supposed to send over a 3-page rider too, Donnie, but I just said, look, he's an old friend. We'll just charge him plus 15% today, not 10, just plus 15.
Thanks, I appreciate it, man. Good looking out.
You bet.
So we were just talking about the White House. My time there, your time in DC, and what you've done there. I mean, I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for Washington, DC. I have gone back once for work, but I was in Arlington, Virginia, filming some stuff with Accenture. So I didn't really get to go downtown, but I did go back to my old stomping grounds where I was stationed in Southwest DC. And it looked really run down. And I don't think our Alpha company is one company from the old guard that was stationed there. I think they're at Fort Myer in Virginia now. But what was a trip to me is, I don't know if you know, but I'm a huge soccer fan. Huge. Played soccer for the Army team. Yeah. Love it. Been playing all my life. I get back to Fort McNair in Southwest DC. And what is right next to the wall, like, I don't know, it was a brick wall, like right next to where our barracks were, is a huge ass DC United soccer stadium.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what the fuck? Why weren't you here when I was here?
Yeah.
So it was really cool, but it's cool going back and seeing how much it changed. And, I think when you were there, things were different because you used to be able to drive down Pennsylvania Avenue, down Constitution Avenue, down 15th and 17th that flanked the White House. And then I think it was after 9/11, they may have shut all of those down to where you can't drive down there much anymore.
I didn't know that. I just want to give a shout out to the Pug, which is Tony T's bar in DC. If you guys ever get up there, it's a great little spot. And the rule is no politics. You can't talk politics in the bar or you're thrown out. And Chaz is the doorman and he works at the bar, and Chaz is he's probably in his mid-70s, and he was a Marine, and he is the baddest motherfucker. I mean, this guy is, and the nicest guy. But anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to Tony T and the Pug, because the Pug, Pug, like the dog. It's a great bar. I would highly recommend anyone go there.
Do you know where I'm going to look at right now? I got to look because I love DC, and I know things have changed, but I've been to a lot of places. The Pugs. Let's see here.
Yeah, my buddy Patrick McMahon brought me there, and I just got back. He's from Nebraska, and that's the guy I went to visit in Nebraska. And he took me there. We were doing the Concert for Valor for HBO. I consulted for Twitter for a couple of years. I was kind of like their fixer. I did all their events and stuff like that. And we were doing Concert for Valor on the Mall. And, it's funny because Metallica got up to rehearse. And literally, the stagehands were supporting the speakers from backstage because they were rocking so much. And we had, I think it was a GSA or one of the law enforcement agencies. One of the guys came up to me and said, "Hey, can you tell them to turn it down?" And I said, "You think I'm gonna go ask them to turn that shit down?" Metallica, no way. It was they had car alarms going off in Arlington, Virginia, across the river because it was so damn loud. It was awesome. I mean,
I love that shit.
All
right,
awesome.
so the Pug is up in Northwest.
Correct.
I mean, back in the day, Northwest, there were parts that, there's parts everywhere. Northeast,
some sketch. Yeah, a little sketch.
But Northwest, just beyond where that was, I didn't really go too much. And then RFK is not too far away, but dang, the Pug. All right, good to know the Pug.
Yeah, you have to go next time.
I had a lot of, when you're in the Army, you drink a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And we drank a lot. We did take advantage of the alcohol, the fun times, the bar crawls, the rallies in the alleys, the chili cook-offs. So much fun was had in Washington D.C., especially as a young single soldier.
Whippersnapper. Oh yeah, for sure. I can only imagine. I mean, my God, that would have been amazing.
So that was after 9/11, before 9/11, after 9/11 then.
Yeah, it was before and after. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so cool. I served like I was in the military. I was in my role in the production environment of Christmas in Washington through Clinton and Bush, actually. Second junior.
Strategery.
And to be honest, I shouldn't even say this, but my brother-in-law is very conservative, and his daughters are very conservative, and I made arrangements for them to get in the receiving line with the president to have a picture taken, right, with Bush. Do you know he didn't even buy the picture? Or you have to send in to get the picture back, delivered to you. After all that hard work to get him the damn picture taken with the president, he didn't even get the picture. And I'm like, you're an asshole. I mean, you know what I had to do to get that picture? I had to get a Secret Service agent into the Oscars green room backstage.
What? Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well,
and if that ever comes out, I will absolutely deny it. Of course, I'm on a podcast, and Donnie Go for Donnie is going to blast it and get viral.
What's quid pro quo? What is that? Quid?
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm paying you to be on your podcast.
I was lucky. I got to meet both President Bush Sr. and Clinton. And I have some photos with them. It was a lot of fun, like President Bush. So we used to do these rope details. So whenever they had a state arrival, anything going on at the White House where they had press that were in the backyard, basically, they would have soldiers from the old guard that had their top secret security clearance. We would have to go and help set up ropes, like a rope detail. And like, section off where the press are and where the troops will be marching, all that shit. And Mrs. Bush, Barbara Bush, she was so sweet. She was like a grandma, and she would bring us lemonade, very sweet. And then, Bush, like, I'll never forget when he came back, we were doing a state arrival. I think it was, Boris Yeltsin was in town, and we were downstairs by the back door, and all of a sudden, all this commotion and they're like, president's coming in, everyone stay where you are. And it was like, so we literally just had to stay there by the back door as they land. And then they come in the back door. And, they kind of say their goodbyes. And Yeltsin went one way because he went to the old executive office building. And then, President Bush just turns to us and starts talking to us about fishing and about how a great time it was. And up there, how you doing, McGuire? Good to see you. And, it was the coolest thing. Like, he was so personal. And the same thing with President Clinton. I will say, I'm sure the charisma that guy has.
Oh, my God.
It was just amazing. He was such, and they were for either an E4, I was an E4, just for them to stop and take time to say hi, to some little pissant soldier, it kind of was pretty cool.
We'll be right back.
And look at that, we're back. That was no time. Oh, let's see here. Oh boy.
I don't know if you can see this.
What you can do is you can send me that, and then I'll throw it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take a shot of it. That was me in the White House.
And just like you, that was a little bit of dark hair ago too, right?
Thanks, Donnie. It's platinum blonde now. Okay.
Hey, man, you can see my white hair, my platinum blonde sticking out through my hat. I mean, yeah. It's funny. I'm sure I'll throw my pictures up because I hardly had any arrows in the Army anyways, but it wasn't white.
It wasn't white. I don't know. I gotten used to my locks, so I've kind of just, I don't even try to hide it anymore. I think I just accept it.
I don't mind it. Just my hair's it's so thick and like your volume, and it's like the hair on the side of my head just starts growing out sideways.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. And then plus with these lights, it really shines it's pretty, it's almost like a white balance. It's
really?
like I can't take my shirt off because it's too much white balance. Back
That's
when I was in the
hilarious.
Army, I learned that I didn't tan, and so whenever I did take my shirt off when we were playing soccer, they were like, "Whoa, amigo, you need to put that back on." Like the pilots are going to be complaining because of the glare coming down. It's so bright.
Shirts and skins.
Yeah, so I learned from a young age. But no, that's really cool that you got to meet Clinton and just actually say a few words to him and
I
feel that
told him.
charisma
When I was at the White House for the Christmas party, it was a very strange scenario. The White House Christmas party was there. The Marine Band was there. A lot of media was there. Like I said, I was drinking scotch in the Blue Room, and when it was time to go, everybody lines up and they go down these stairs, and everyone's in a line like Disneyland, and then you wind up in this room, and the president and Mrs. Clinton were both there, shaking everyone's hand on the way out. And I think they were there for about 2 solid hours, shaking everyone's hands for a photo op, And I did say, and of course I was a couple scotches in, and I said, Mr. President, I just wanted to say I worked with Harry Tomlinson, who was his producer, for the Democratic National Convention in 2000, and I said I was the one responsible for orchestrating your backstage walk when you came, through the VOM and into the Staples Center, which is now Crypto.com Arena, and you entered the bowl, and it was like this big hoo-ha Rocky moment. I don't know if you remember it from the convention, but it was talked about. It was a water cooler moment, and I was the one that had to deal with orchestrating all that, and obviously with the stage management and producers, but I had to go through all the whole process with them and brief them and show
Hey
them.
Rick, I just want to say thank you for doing everything. I really appreciate what you did for me. I really do appreciate it.
Well, Donnie, I can say I'm not sure I do the same now, but I think, whatever you do, it's going to be huge. Okay? Huge. I can make my mouth look like a baby's anus.
Huge.
Huge.
What about this? What about the so you met Clinton. What about the most impressive person I think you think you've ever met?
The most impressive person.
I know it's hard.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to send you another picture now. I really enjoyed dating Dolly Parton. No, I'm kidding. But I did meet her. I
I'm
did
like
meet her.
record scratch.
I did her special. She's a lovely, lovely lady. She's a legend. She's just very nice. I also, a lot of people don't know, may not know who this person is in the music industry, but he is a legend, a producer, a musician, a just an all around brilliant guy when it comes to music. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Nile Rodgers.
Yeah, of course I know Nile
He was
Rodgers.
in
Yeah,
Chic.
yeah,
Chic, yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm just a music buff. I mean, I love music, and I guess that's kind of why I'm probably a good segue into why I'm in the position I'm in now. But I mean, I think um, he's so impressive to me that he's worked with, I mean, David
Everybody.
Bowie and
Yeah.
Madonna, like all these people, and you're just going, what is that? How is that even possible? And he's super cool. I took a picture with him. I nerded out. I don't like, you just don't ask for pictures. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Nope, I don't. Yep.
And it's just the protocol. But like the talent people knew I really, really liked him, and they set it up, and I was like, I
So
was like a
cool.
little kid. And I said, hey, Niall, I really, really just respect you as, not only as a human being, but as a musician and a producer and an engineer. And just, I think you just bring so much to the music. And he's like, man, like he lives in the Turks and Caicos in the islands, and he's like, you should come out and hang out. And I'm like, are you serious? Because I'm like, I will go down to the Turks and Caicos to hang out with Nile Rodgers. And I'm not like one to, be a celeb, impressed by celebrity. But man, I tell you, it's just I love musical geniuses. I really do. So
Have you been to Turks and Caicos?
I've not. I've been to the Virgin Islands. I've been to the Bahamas and all that, but I've not been to Turks and Caicos. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went down a few years ago during COVID and went looking for a U-boat of Hitler's on a
Wow.
show. And yeah, we got down there, and it was, like I said, during COVID, and we got off the plane, and we should have waited at least a day, really, before jumping on a dive boat for 4 or 5 days. So we jumped on the dive boat for 4 or 5 days. And when we got off the dive boat, I think one of our audio mixers, caught the Rona. And then as soon as that happened, we were on a boat. Everyone was on a boat together. So we all had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And I have a great 3-bedroom apartment with just myself, but and a deck and a nice deck. I could go up on the deck and I could see the beach. I could see it over there in the distance. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the sand. My feet never touched the sand when I was in Turks and Caicos. As soon as our quarantine was up, they decided, nah, we're just gonna come back. And the crew at that time were kind of felt uneasy, and we're like, let's get the hell out of there. So I've been to Turks and Caicos, and my feet have never touched those pristine, beautiful beaches.
What a horrible thing! I had the virus twice, and I just remember how sick I felt. I can't even imagine being on a boat and having that. Oh, God, that would be horrible. I did go on an unauthorized trip to Cuba, though.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I did not
All
have
right.
any papers. I did not have nothing. And I flew from here to New York. I went with a producer, a storied producer, manager, a guy named Ron Weisner. He managed Michael Jackson for 10 years. He managed Madonna, Steve Winwood, George Michael,
Wow.
You name it, Paul McCartney, all the biggies, and he had done a concert down there in the 70s called Havana Jam, where he brought musicians from the United States to collaborate with their counterparts in Cuba. And it was like kind of a cultural exchange type deal, But we went down there. I flew to New York. He was doing a show at the Apollo. I met him there, saw the show, and then we flew from there to Bahamas into Havana, and then toured around for 4 days looking at venues and stuff because we were going to redo the Havana Jam. It was going to be Havana Jam 2 30 years later. And we're going to bring, Earth, Wind, and Fire, like all these big bands down to collaborate with their Cuban counterparts. And we were so caught up in the moment when we came into the country. you can't. Your cell phone doesn't work. Your credit cards won't work. You can't be there anyway. You can't show them your passport. You can't. You got to pay it. If you're going to pay anything, they want American dollars. They don't want pesos. They don't want Cuban money. Anything. And so we were in the airport in the receiving line, and we didn't notice it because we were talking. But the woman that took they took the passport to see it, but they're supposed to give you a bifold piece of paper, so they stamp one side and then they rip it off and they hold the other side until you leave the country, and then they collect the other half, right? That's their system. Well, we didn't notice this, and we're here there for 4 days. She had stamped both of our passports, and that's a minimum $10,000 fine. Plus, if they're able to prove you spent any money, they're going to fine you for that, right? Wow. So he notices this in the van on the way to the airport to come home, and we were flying through Cancun that day from Havana to Cancun. And if you've ever seen the movie called Argo,
oh yeah,
I called this Hugo. So he goes, Rick, I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do, man. I've never been in this position. I've been here 6 times, and they stamped my passport and blah blah blah. This fucking, I'm gonna have to pay like $25,000 if they find out, blah blah blah. And I said, Ron, just take it easy. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get on that plane. We're gonna fly to Mexico. We're gonna change planes in Mexico. You're gonna get on the plane in Mexico, and you're going to give me your passport once you're on the plane, and I'm going to shove it deep into my bag. Because I knew if we get popped, we're both going to get popped, because I had all this, when you go on tech scouts and things like that, or location scouts, we had gathered all this information on the venue and what the equipment was, and what the rigging loads are, and the audio and all that stuff. That's like a site survey, they call it. Well, push comes to shove. I said, now call the flight attendant over now, and tell them that you've misplaced your passport. Clearly you had it because you got on the plane, but you can't find it anywhere. So he does. They radio down to LAX, and they separate him out immediately, right? Because he doesn't have his passport. And basically, when you get into LAX, you get on a bus, you go to customs. You got to go through customs. And they isolated him. They were questioning him for hours, basically. It was like midnight. And this is a New Yorker from the Bronx, like a 70-year-old guy who was getting grouchy. And I saw, but I was just going to go for it, because they didn't know that I had my passport, but I didn't say anything. It was stamped or anything. And I see this girl walking alone, this single girl coming back from Mexico, and she's tan, she's got a hat on, and I had a hat on. So I start chatting her up, and I'm like, hey, how was your trip? Did you enjoy yourself? Yeah, I was in Mexico too, blah, blah, blah. And, it was bullshitting. And so they thought we were a couple. And I let her go first. So the customs agent asked her the questions, and I said, oh, I'm, with her. And they stamped her thing and they stamped my thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm home free, right? But then there's another checkpoint, which is Homeland Security now, right? So I'm walking, and then I have to catch back up with her, chat her up again, same drill, let her go first, chat, stamp. And my buddy Patrick picked me up at the airport, and I get in the car, and I'm like, just go, hit it, go, like, get out of here.
Don't look back.
So I text Ron at 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, hey, how was your trip? And he's like, I can't talk right now, So the next day, he was there till like 2:30 in the morning, and they were interrogating him. And he's like, listen, what the fuck do you want? I'm from the Bronx. I'm a U.S. citizen. I was in Mexico doing business. I've lost my passport. Can I go home now? He just put it on the line. The next day we went into the office. I had his passport framed and open to the page that they stamped, and I brought it into the office and presented it to him as a little keepsake. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. That's white.
Sorry, that was a long story, but that was really fun.
That's good. That's white knuckling.
Cuba is an amazing place. If anyone's able to go to Cuba, I would highly recommend it, because it's just so culturally, it's such an interesting place, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, the guys, I missed that trip, but I guess they did an episode of Top Gear down there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when you were in Oh, you mean when you were in the Army down in
No,
Gitmo or
yeah,
something?
you
I
know,
missed
down
that
there, yeah,
trip.
down there in
I
jail.
missed waterboarding all those guys and beating them, but it was great. No, I'm
The
joking.
things we did in the Army. Well, you guys, hey, don't forget to stay tuned for Switch It Channel 2. Coming up next, where I'm going to get to ask Rick some more specific questions, so that way we get to know Rick just a little bit better. And also, Rick, I want you and everyone else to know that this is not only an audio podcast, not just audio, this is also a video podcast. I have a YouTube channel at Go for Donnie, where you can catch Go for Donnie, or Switch It Channel 2, or so many other cut down videos and little fun things that I have on there. That's Go for Donnie, my YouTube channel, and Switch It Channel 2. Also, I have a website, Rick. This is where I peddle things. So if you want to come and check out my website, I got photos. You can check out all the episodes there. Some cool stuff about me, because it's all about me. But you could also buy some swag. So
I'm buying that blue hat, that blue Dodger hat that you had on last week, wherever it is.
Oh yeah. So basically, I have hats. We have a blue and white one, similar to this.
Yep.
We have some little stickers,
Oh,
nice little stickers.
nice.
Put them on your Pelican case or your
I'll do that.
whatever. So it's a lot of fun. So come check it out. Drop me a line, say hi. Well, Rick, it's been so much fun, and I can't wait to have you back on to share some more shenanigans, because you're a wealth of knowledge.
So many stories, Donnie. I don't know. We can probably make another 20 episodes out of this.
I know. But we can handle a little bit more when we get over to Switch It Channel 2, because Switch It Channel 2 is about a little chatter. So guys, come check us out. You can check out my website. You can check out my YouTube channel. The podcast is on all the podcast platforms, from Apple Podcasts to Amazon, whoopsie-daisy,
Sorry about
to Buzzsprout, to Spotify, all the platforms. You can come check me out. If you want to come check out my socials, it's at Go for Donnie, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, all of them at Go for Donnie. So once again, thanks for coming, Rick. I really appreciate a little chatter from you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And as my mother-in-law always says, HTFU, hashtag HTFU. And if you don't know what I'll tell you what that is on Switch It Channel 2. Harden the fuck up, Rick.
Woo!
Thanks for coming, man.
I love it. That's awesome.
All right, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Later, Ed.
Production for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Locations for Donnie. Go for Donnie.
Habitat for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Hey Donnie, what the hell are they doing?